Joining us in our newsroom, we have Dr. Sunadesh Haragu from Oklahoma State University to talk about a new paper that he just published. Hi.
Hello, good morning.
All right, so we're talking about how people get their vaccinations, and we've learned from history that maybe there's a certain way that people can sacrifice one thing for another. So tell us what that is.
So this is based on a study that we did 11 years ago for the H1N1 pandemic, but the parameters are the same, whether it's H1N1 or COVID-19. So basically, with the drive-through mass vaccination clinic, you're able to vaccinate more people in a shorter period of time, plus the convenience that people can be waiting in their cars, getting their vaccination as and when they don't have to get out of the car. If they have kids in the back, they don't need to get them out of the infant seats and so on. So it's actually very convenient, pretty fast and effective. And we've had, when we did this back in 2009, we were able to vaccinate 12,000 people in 1.5 days through the drive-through clinic. And then we also did 6,500 using the walk-up clinic.
Well, so let me ask you this, considering the reasons why people will want to be vaccinated in their vehicle rather than, so we know that there are certain safety concerns, they feel more comfortable, but time is of the essence. If an in-person clinic is faster, what do we do about that?
Well, when you add in the time to, park, get out of your vehicle, hand in papers, and sometimes people may not be ready when they want to get the shot. So you have all kinds of delays that could be induced in a walk-up clinic. But in general, yeah, I think a walk-up clinic, just the time to get a shot might be a little bit shorter. But the convenience is one aspect. But also, if you are already carrying the virus, you're not passing it on to somebody else, and vice versa. If you're standing in a line, the person in front of you has the virus, there is a chance that you could get it while you're trying to get vaccinated. So you don't have to deal with those kinds of things. And we found that if you're able to, somebody comes into the drive-through clinic and is able to get their shots in 30 minutes, 35 minutes, they don't mind that at all, because they can use the time that they're waiting to catch up on news or listen to music or maybe texting somebody. So it's actually pretty convenient, is what we found. In fact, in our previous study, oftentimes we used to find that the walk-up clinic had no wait times. And when people in the drive-through were told they could go to the walk-up clinic, they would say, no, I'm pretty comfortable waiting here. I like convenience of the drive-through. Again, the sweet spot is somewhere 30 to 35 minutes. Goes beyond that, then I think people may prefer the walk-up clinic.
All right, so that's really interesting. So let me ask you this. I would say, well, from what I'm hearing, the time frame is really kind of negligible. It's not really so much time that we're sacrificing between the clinic and the convenience of the vehicle. However, this is a really serious virus. People are already hesitant to get the vaccination. If we switched or tried to make this sort of mass transition, or at least put more spaces out there where they can go through it with their vehicle, do you think because of the nature of the virus, or if we're not able to do that with the nature of the virus, this would deter people from getting the vaccine?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the fact that, the vaccine can be handled. Actually, I may have to back up a little bit. So can you answer your question again? Ask me your question again. I didn't quite get it.
Go ahead. No, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay.
We're fine.
Okay. So what I was going to say was that, when you have people, regardless of what vaccine it is, when you have people go through the drive-through, because the wait times are under 30 minutes, they prefer the convenience of it. And it's safe and effective, and you can vaccinate large swaths of the population very efficiently. And one of the things that we've been saying is that, there's about 350 or so communities that have 100,000 people or more. And if you were to set up a mass vaccination clinic, and by the way, it does not take a whole lot to set up these clinics. All you would need is tents. And the experiment that we did, a real world experiment, had 5 tents, and each tent could take two vehicles at a time. So they had two lanes leading up to it, and each lane had two pods of nurses. So with that, you can actually do 10,000 per day on average.
Wow.
And if the 350 communities were to do this for 100 days, then you're looking at vaccinating 350,000 people over a 100-day period.
Well,
And so I think
I'm right. I'm thinking that, well, what if there are multiple, like I mean, if I heard you right, I'm sorry, just didn't hear you for a second. I checked out on, or that this wasn't working for a second. And did I hear you say that if we're in a vehicle and we have multiple people in a vehicle, that we could get more vaccinations at one time? So then maybe this, or is that something we could think about, or?
Well, actually, we did in the 2009 clinic, we actually did that. Each car had on average 3 people. And so what happens is when you drive up to the tent, you have a pod of nurses. And let's say there are 2 nurses per pod. Then you roll down the window, the driver rolls down the window, and then the passenger can do the same. The 2 nurses can get on either side of the car and vaccinate 2 people at the same time. And then if there's more people in the back, they can do the same thing. And oftentimes what happens is because you have multiple pods in each lane, while one pod of nurses is serving the first car, the second pod of nurses can go to the back, the car that's right behind, and vaccinate them. So you could actually attain much higher throughputs through this than you might be able to do with other mechanisms. Now, I'm not saying that we completely eliminate walk-up clinics. I mean, not everybody has a vehicle. People in requiring extra accommodations might prefer the walk-up clinic. That could be alongside a drive-through clinic. But my point is that a vast majority of the people could be vaccinated very efficiently through the drive-through clinic.
Well, this could be just sort of an assembly line, it sounds like. So that's really interesting, and it might not even require more personnel because that might be an issue. But last 2 things. So what is your message to policymakers, and what is your message to the public?
So we have demonstrated we can vaccinate large amounts of people. So one of the things that people, let's say in San Diego, I heard that they're opening up a drive-through clinic that they want to serve up to 6,000 people. Well, if you copy our model exactly, you'll be able to do 8,000 to 10,000 people per day. And my hope is that all of the public health personnel all across the country look at this and adopt this model for their particular scenario. Again, all they would need is a large parking lot, could be a stadium parking lot or a shopping mall parking lot, 5 tents, and then maybe 50 to 70 nurses and some support staff to help people, from the time they enter until they get to the pod. And you could be processing, like you said, like an assembly line. In 30 minutes, you could be turning over an entire car, whether it has 1 person or 4 people. So I hope that more of this is utilized so that, we can vaccinate as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. Right. And the good news is that we got multiple types of vaccines that are coming out, some that require only a single dose. So we could, I think, achieve President Biden's goal of 100 million vaccines in 100 days, actually more than that. Our model says we can do 3 times that.
Well, Dr. Haragu, thank you so much. Such interesting work, and I hope you'll join us again at some point.
Thank you for the opportunity. I've enjoyed talking to you about this.